Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Blue Table Talk. I know I've been off a couple of weeks, but we're back on, and I appreciate it that you guys stick with me and pray for me. But tonight we're talking about nutrition and how we can get what foods we need to eat or how we can balance our diet or whatever. So we'll be talking to Miss Garland Young in a minute, but before I introduce her, you guys know that we're not over the COVID-19. We are now in the Delta variant. So all that's tied together. And if you have not received your vaccine, you need to go out and get it. Both of them don't matter which one it is, Pfizer or Moderna, just as long as you receive it. I don't even know. I don't know if they're still doing the Johnson and Johnson, but if they are, it's part of the vaccine, and you need to go ahead and receive. Now the boosters now, but the boosters aren't given to everyone. It's only given to people with the immune deficiency. So if you're a diabetic or whatever, you're not qualified for the booster. But if you have like cancer or any other uh, immune immune disease like immune deficiency with the bones or whatever, they will administer it to you. Guys, we have been blessed and totally blessed through Hurricane Nicholas. And I almost forgot the hurricane's name, Hurricane Nicholas. And by it did mess up a little Beaumont, but not as much as we thought it would. We didn't get the high flooding, or we did not receive anything as far as um, any death, fatalities, anything. So we have been blessed. We have been totally blessed. I mean, there are some people who electricity is not on, but there's the entity said that it will be resumed tonight, either tonight or early in the morning. So just wait, just keep it cool, faith, keep it cool, and then entity will come to you. So, like I said, we have been totally blessed with this hurricane. Um, Nicholas, it was a category one, and it just left a few water. It's still raining out here in Beaumont, Texas, but it's not raining as much. Now, last night we did get a lot of rain and wind. I stayed up for a little bit of it, and I watched a little of it. But as far as anything else, like I said, we are totally, totally blessed. Thank you, God, for your blessings and your grace and your mercy for bypassing us overseas. Now it's headed back to Louisiana, and we need to pray for the people of Louisiana that they will be safe and away from Nicholas, because they just had Ida, and Ida tore the city of New Orleans up, and went to Lafayette and Baton Rouge and everything. But we just got to keep them in prayer. Keep them in prayer. Okay, so tonight we're talking about nutrition, and tonight we have Garland Young from Baltimore, Maryland, and so she's going to talk to us about our nutrition, and I'm gonna have her introduce herself. Garland, before she introduced herself to us, Garland was on our show before when we talked about lupus, so she's one of the candidates that talked about lupus, that have lupus. So now she's back with us because she's a nutritionist specialist, and so she's going to speak to us on nutrition. Hi, Garland. How you doing tonight? Welcome to Blue Table Talk.
Good, thank you. So I'm Garland. I have a little background. I have a master's in nutrition and integrative health from the Maryland University of Integrative Health. I'm a certified nutrition specialist and licensed in the state of Maryland. I guess a little bit about how I got into nutrition. I went to undergrad for political science and mass communication, so I took a completely different
Wow.
direction. I started having symptoms at the end of my sophomore year in college. And then by junior year, it was full blown. Like I could barely walk without taking 800 milligram ibuprofen 3 times a day. And so a couple of days before my 21st, well, after my 21st birthday, they diagnosed me with lupus. And I realized that the foods that I were eating were affecting how I felt. Like, sugar was causing inflammation. It was making my face swell up. And when I would say this to the doctors, they would just kind of look at me like, oh, okay, here's your medication. Goodbye. And so it made me want to look into more in nutrition and helping people with other health conditions through diet and being able to work with their doctors also as to try to minimize medications and try to promote overall health. So after I
Mhm.
graduated, I went to get my master's in nutrition, and I've been a licensed nutritionist I think for 2 or 3 years now.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So that part right there will help you with your diets by you've been nutrition, so you know what to do and you know what to take. So that's great. That's great. I didn't know you were a communication major or a political science major. I just thought you were just in the medical field all along.
No, I wanted to be a lawyer at first. Like I was in LSAT classes at the end of senior year. So it was just a last minute like shift once I graduated.
Oh, okay, okay, cool. So let me ask you a couple of questions. What is the difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist?
Okay, so for a nutritionist, well, first of all, it depends on what state you're in, but some people in some states, anybody can call themselves a nutritionist. And so that's what you have to look out for. Now, you want somebody who is licensed and who has certification. So the CNS is a certified nutrition specialist, which is what I am. So I know in the state of Maryland, in order to call yourself a nutritionist, you have to be licensed. So here I can do everything pretty much a dietitian can do. But the difference is in order to be a CNS, certified nutrition specialist, you have to have a master's or a doctorate. For registered dietitians, they have to have a bachelor's degree. Both you have to do about 1,000 to 1,200 hours of supervised practice. So I had a whole year full of internships. I think I had 5 internships, three going on at one time. It was a lot. Both systems have a certifying exam that you have to pass. Now, the key difference is nutritionists are trained in like chronic care and usually work in private practice, while RDs are usually in institutional settings like hospitals, nursing homes, and schools. So, nutritionists take a more holistic approach and focus on functional medicine, which looks at the whole body and like root causes. And RDs tend to follow like, the government nutrition, everything you see on the government sites, as broad as My Plate and things like that.
So by you being a nutritionist and you had your degree in other areas, did you have to do the whole 4 year thing to get to be certified nutritionist, or was some of your classes carried over to what you were doing?
So for my master's took a little more than 2 years because I added herbal medicine. So nothing transferred over from undergrad because, like I said, I was a political science and mass communications major. So I did the full program at the Maryland University of Integrative Health.
Mhm. Oh, okay. So let's talk about dieting. What is a balanced diet for an adult?
Okay, so for an adult, you want to focus on whole foods. So, whole plant-based foods are important sources of fiber and phytonutrients. You want to eat clean and organic. And when I say that, eating clean helps reduce toxin exposure because a lot of our foods today have a lot of pesticides in them. The meats have antibiotics fed to them, hormones, and it's like what they eat, you're eating too, and what they're injected is going into your body as well. So, sometimes eating organic can be expensive. So, a list that they came out with are their Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. So, the Dirty Dozen are a dozen fruits and vegetables that have the most pesticides in them. So, you want to try to get those organic. And
Mhm.
the clean 15 are the ones that have less pesticides in them. So it's okay to get conventional in order to save money.
Okay, so in the past, I've had guests on my panel who spoke on being a vegan, and I've had others talk about their eating dieting for diabetics and stuff like that. So what you're saying right now is eating plant-based food. So that goes to like being a vegan, right? Or
Um, or a combination, not just plant-based foods, because I'm going to talk about quality proteins too. That was just, one on the list. Honestly, it really depends on everybody's body is different, so there's no one size fit all diet for, every person. So some people they need meat in their diets. Some people do better, without meat. It just depends, on the person. But just pretty much, whole foods are what you want to have a part of any type of diet.
right,
Also, adequate quality protein. So you want to choose lean and clean. So when you're doing things like beef, you want grass fed and pasture raised. When you're doing fish, you want wild caught fish. You don't want the fish that's not not wild caught. They pretty much it's just in a fish tank together. It's fed different antibiotics and different things, and with the salmon a lot of the times it turns a nasty gray color. So the farm raised salmon, they actually inject with dyes and colors to give it that pink color. So you always want to get wild caught fish.
right,
And you want meat and eggs from that are free range, and poultry as well. And for plant proteins, you want to get complete proteins from organic sources. So a complete protein is one that has all the amino acids that are essential to human health. Like soy is a complete protein. So like a typical serving size of animal protein is 3 to 4 ounces, and it's about the same as the palm of the size of your hand. And for plant-based protein, you want about the size of your fist. So you should try to incorporate protein in each meal and snack. Um, and so things like legumes are considered a combination food. They have hearty proteins and carbohydrates. And so you want to try to get 1 to 2 servings of legumes a day. For vegetarians and vegans, the protein that you get from legumes, seeds, nuts, and grains is usually lacking one or more of the essential amino acids, and you need all of them. Like meat has all of the essential amino acids, and other sources like legumes and seeds don't. So what you can do as a vegetarian is you can combine different foods. So for example, you can take legumes and seeds and pair it with rice and grains to make a complete set of amino acids. And you can also use plant-based protein powders to increase your protein intake. They have pea protein powders. There's a variety of different plant proteins available as well. Um, and to incorporate more legumes in your diet, you can eat hummus. I don't know how many of you have tried hummus
I'm
before.
just saying, what is that?
So hummus is our from chickpeas. So it's like a bean and
Church.
it's a spread.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like a Mediterranean kind of thing. So
Right.
you can use that sometimes if you want to use that instead of mayo on sandwiches. You can dip crackers or tortilla chips or other vegetables in it. You can also make dip from just regular beans like black beans, or putting beans in your super salads, or combining beans and rice. So for dairy, so some people can tolerate dairy, some people can't. So it just depends. So you can do dairy or dairy alternative. So I'd say about 2 to 3 servings a day. So when you are buying dairy, I'd buy organic dairy products if you can. And some alternatives are soy, rice, almond, hemp, coconut milk, and you can get those in yogurts as well. So there's a lot of options for people who can't tolerate dairy or don't want to eat dairy anymore. Um,
I
Go
can't,
ahead.
I can't find anyone that don't want to eat dairy. I'm an ice cream person. I love ice cream, but I can't eat it. I'm lactose intolerant. So, what can we have? And first of all, to be honest with you, I ain't supposed to have it anyway. So, because I'm a diabetic, but I don't cut off everything in my diet. I cut off a lot of stuff, but I don't cut off everything. I love sweets. I love my ice cream, but I know you're supposed to eat it in modern styles, but that's just can't do it. So what can I put in place for my ice cream instead of just plain old ice cream, bluebell or whatever? What can I put in place for that?
So now there's multiple options. So there are dairy-free ice creams,
I
like
never.
Ben and Jerry's has, huh?
Oh, We don't have a Ben Jerry here, so I never seen a dairy free ice cream before.
Um, well, it comes in. It's not just it's just like Haagen Dogs or any of the other ones that come in the freezer section. Ben and Jerry's has dairy-free ice cream, so some of them are made from either safflower oil or safflower milk or almond milk. Now the thing about those is sometimes they have too much junk in them in order to compensate for not being actual dairy because they're trying to make it taste like dairy. So those, are treats, occasionally, probably not the best if you're diabetic. Some other options to kind of like soothe your cravings are people do like frozen fruits. So they call it nice cream. So it's like frozen bananas are the base. So you freeze bananas and then put it in the food processor, and you can add different fruits or different things in order to make different flavors. Like you could put a little chocolate in it to make it like, like a chocolate ice cream, or strawberries, blueberries, any types of fruit. And it tastes pretty good. I usually like to make more of a sherbet kind of a strawberry and blueberries, and add a little honey for sweetness if the fruit's not exactly sweet. But it's a good idea just to kind of keep frozen fruits in your freezer, and whenever you have a craving for one, especially for you who are diabetic, like low glycemic fruits like blueberries, strawberries, any type of the berries are a good option for you because they don't spike your blood sugar as much.
Right. Now I'm gonna take you back when you talking about plant-based foods. Okay, so um, first, before I go into that, I want to tell my listeners, thank you guys for joining me tonight. Hit your share button so that other people could come in and listen to Garland Young tonight. She's talking about nutrition. So don't forget to hit the share button and ask questions, plenty of questions. Okay, so let's go back to plant-based food. Every year, once a year, my church goes do a Daniel diet, and a Daniel diet consists of everything that's eaten from the ground because that's what God wanted Daniel to do. So that's plant-based food. So after the 30 days or how many days that we on the Daniel diet, when it's over, it's over. We're going back to our regular food. So I know it's sometimes it agitate people because they cannot eat, they have to have protein like the meat in their food. What is a substitute they can have besides that meat in their for their food, and still be on the plant-based diet?
So like soy products, like tofu, like you can kind of make tofu taste like anything these days. So you can try that. And also like tempeh is another one. Those are like plant-based proteins that you can have, that you can that you can substitute with.
Oh, okay. Nobody's gonna eat tofu. I know I'm not. Maybe my listeners might eat it, but I don't eat it. That's my problem. I eat everything that's not
That's
on a
not on
diet. I just go haywire. How would you address the nutrition needs for a client with a type 1, which is most of our children, right, with type 1 diabetes?
Okay, yes. So type 1 diabetes, to get into a little bit of, exactly what it is. Like you said, it's usually found in children, so at a young age. So it's actually an autoimmune condition is what it is, because it's the destruction of the beta cells in the pancreas, and those are the cells that produce insulin. So your body loses its ability to produce insulin, and sometimes it's idiopathic, meaning there's no known cause. And some signs of it are like excessive thirst, frequent urination, significant weight loss. And so the things that you need to monitor with type 1 diabetes, you need to monitor the glucose, the A1C, your lipid levels, your blood pressure, and your weight. And as far as diet and meal planning wise, with type 1 diabetes, a lot of times people do carb counting. So if you take mealtime insulin, you'll count carbs to match your insulin dose to the amount of carbs in your food and drink. So type 1 diabetes diet and type 2, are lot different because with type 1 you're taking insulin, so that your insulin dosage depends on what you're eating and vice versa.
So okay, so you're saying type one, you're taking insulin, and some people type two take insulin too, but that's your adults, right? So how do you specify the type one diabetic and the type two diabetic?
So type 1 diabetes is usually, like I said, you usually find it in children, and it's like the destruction of the beta cell, so you're not producing any insulin. With type 2, that's usually found, later in life, and it's a combination of potential beta cell failure and a combination of insulin resistance as well. So your body loses its ability to sense insulin. So it's kind of like it's a combination, and it's something later in life that you find.
I know the nutritionist. I know the nutrition because the nutrition I have at my doctor's office, well, my diabetic doctor office. She see me at least supposed to see me at least once a month. But when my A1C is down and everything, we don't have a conversation. She just let me go on by my business and do whatever. But when that A1C is up, now she want to talk to me. You know. So she just, and as a matter of fact, she just put me on a 1,500 calorie diet. Yeah. So I looked at it the other day, and but of course, we just stubborn. We just don't follow those things. But I know when my diabetes is up. I know when my diabetes is down. A lot of times when it's down, I'm at rest, and so it wakes me up at night.
Okay,
Yeah, and I get up and I'll eat something, and to bring it all, I'll drink a
bring your
Coke.
blood sugar up.
Right, I'll drink a Coke, and I don't keep orange juice in here because I know orange juice spikes my blood pressure real high. But I do drink a Coke, and I keep Coke in my house. So it's 50. Well, I guess it's good, but it's 1,500 calorie diet okay for type two diabetes?
Well, I guess I focus more on the quality of food you're eating and the whole foods diet. Like when you're eating a whole foods diet, you don't have to worry about calorie counting as much as when you're eating a packaged, a lot of packaged food and a lot of pre-prepared food. So I guess we'll go into talking a little bit more about type 2 diabetes a little bit, because everybody, doesn't necessarily know what type 2 diabetes is. Even I've talked to people who have it and they're like, nobody ever explained to me exactly, what it is. So some risk factors for it are genetic and environmental factors, so including like family history of diabetes, older age, obesity, physical inactivity, prediabetes, and race and ethnicity. So, like we were talking, type 2 diabetes is characterized with a combination of insulin resistance and beta cell failure. So that's what we were talking about. Like that's why some people do take insulin, because of the beta cell failure. Not all people with type 2 diabetes take insulin. So insulin is a storage hormone. And so your pancreas releases it primarily in response to dietary carbs. So when you eat carbohydrates. So it's insulin's job to take nutrients from your bloodstream and deliver it to your cells. And that's what we use for energy. So if insulin is doing its job, then blood sugar should return back to normal 1 to 2 hours after eating. Um, but what happens when we eat too many carbs and too many bad carbs, it sends insulin into overdrive to put it all away and to bring blood sugar back to normal. So if your blood sugar levels are constantly elevated after meals because you eat a lot of carbs, it can cause large amounts of insulin to be released every time you eat, which in over time can cause you to become insulin resistant, meaning your body loses its ability to sense insulin. When you can consume carbs that your body can use or store, it ends up being stored as fat. And when you're constantly adding to your fat stores, you're not using the fat that you have stored. So high blood sugar equals high insulin response, and high insulin response equals storage mode, and storage mode equals not burning fat for fuel. So you're not able to, you want to be burning the fat that you have in your body are stored already in order, to keep your weight down and keep healthy. But if you're continually just adding sugar and sugar and sugar, that just continues to turn to fat. You can only have, so your body can only store so much glucose, so much sugar. So what happens is once it's at its max, it starts to turn into fat. That's why sugar is a lot of the reason behind people being overweight, not a high consumption of fat, but a high consumption of sugar, because sugar turns into fat.
But the thing is, diabetes. Well, make see if I'm right about this. It's not the sugar that we eat; it's the carbs that we eat, right?
Yes. Well, carbohydrates turn into sugar.
Right. So I can eat sugar all day long, right?
No sugar, carbs, any type of no.
I can eat a cake all day, and then because it's not carbs, it's sugar.
It's sugar at all. Anything that turns to carbohydrates are all like starches. Anything that turns into sugar is, what you want to say. So three types of carbs are sugar, so that can be natural sugar or added sugar. So starches, including wheat, oats, and other grains, and like starchy vegetables like potatoes, and fiber, which is part of plants foods that isn't digestible, but it helps you stay healthy. So, and you're talking about the different types of carbs. There are good carbs and bad carbs. So the bad carbs are the ones that we all loved, all the refined food and the man-made food, the cookies and the cakes, but they don't have any nutrients in them. You want good carbs, which contain easily digestible, bioavailable nutrients that make it possible to break down your carbs, like sweet potatoes. And they're available in, like we talk about, eating whole foods. So, an example, so a table of sugar delivers about 60 calories of carbs, and so does a sweet potato, because some people are like, oh, well, sugar is sugar. But the thing about it is, a table like sugar, straight sugar gives you nothing but carbs and no other nutrients. So if you're eating, a Snickers bar or something that just has, it's just a bunch of sugar, then that's all you're getting. But say a sweet potato gives you B vitamins, phosphorus, magnesium, iron, copper, zinc, and chromium. And those are all the nutrients that you need to actually metabolize and break down carbs. And so, in order for you to be able to utilize the nutrients in the food you eat, it has to be broken down first. And so, you need the exact nutrients that are in a sweet potato are the ones that you need in order to be able to break it down and use it. So when you eat things like Snickers bars and stuff with just a lot of straight sugar, you're actually pulling from your stores of those vitamins and nutrients in order to break it down. So it's actually depleting your system. It's like continually going to the bank to make withdrawals, but never in any deposits. Like eventually you'll go broke.
You just read my life history. Cause I don't mind going to that line and look at that Snicker bar right there and pulling it with my grocery.
That's why they put it in the when you're about to leave. You made it through the whole store and you're about to
Right there, it's right there in your face, calling your name, calling you, eat me, buy me. Okay, so what kind of diet would you tell a person who has immune deficiency, autoimmune deficiency? I'm sorry.
Okay, before we go there, I just wanted to go to talk about some of the things you could eat when you do have type 2 diabetes.
Yes.
So let's see. I don't know if you've heard. Have you heard of glycemic index and glycemic load?
No.
Okay, so glycemic index is a value assigned to foods based on how slowly or how quickly those foods increase blood glucose levels. So foods that have a GI of 70 are considered high, and foods that are have a GI of 55 are considered low. So this is to kind of help you with your diet and try to stick with like low GI foods and medium GI foods instead of like high GI foods that are going to spike your blood sugar.
Mhm.
And also, what you can do is you can take medium GI foods and pair them with fats and proteins so that it'll blunt that glycemic effect. So, for example, if you're having fruit, like maybe adding like a nut butter or something with it, or protein like yogurt to help bring down that glycemic effect. So like what things that you kind of want to eat when your diabetes, the foods that are high in fiber, like we talk about plant-based foods, whole grains, nuts, legumes. You want to have a diet low in simple sugar. So like we're talking about staying away from the candy bars,
Yeah.
all our favorite things to eat. I'm guilty of it too. You want to have balanced quality fats. So quality fats are like coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, and avocado oil. And so, but this should contribute no more than about a third of your total calorie intake. And you want less coming from, saturated fats. Nuts and seeds are definitely good to incorporate into your diet. You can sprinkle them on top of salad. You can just eat them, add them to vegetables. Protein. So, protein stabilizes blood sugar, and you should try to include it in every meal. Unless for some reason you are on a low protein diet, like if you have kidney issues or something like that.
Right.
But protein should be about one third of your daily calories. So, vegetables, you want to aim for about 8 to 12 servings of veggies a day. I know, which is a lot. I don't even get
That's a lot. That's a lot.
it is a lot. So, you can take it slow. Um, like we talked about legumes, adding legumes to your diet. You have starchy and non-starchy vegetables, so you definitely want to have non-starchy vegetables be the majority of your vegetable content. So broccoli, cauliflower, kale, spinach, those are non-starchy vegetables. The starchy ones are like potatoes, sweet potatoes. Those are the ones that you kind of want to limit to one serving per day because they tend to impact blood sugar more. Fruit, so you want to do low GI fruits, like we talked about. So fruits that don't spike your blood sugar as much, like pretty much all berries, blueberries, strawberries, blackberries. Those are definitely good for diabetics. Grains, you want to do whole grains. And like we talked about blueberries, and also cinnamon also helps to with blood sugar regulation.
Yeah, I've heard
So
that. Yeah.
adding cinnamon to your food can actually help. Even with like sometimes adding it to your oatmeal or adding it to different things. And some suggestions on kind of swapping out carbohydrates is cauliflower. Like everybody's eating cauliflower now, and it's like everything they
And
have
everybody.
cauliflower.
And everybody.
Well, it's the new thing now. Like there's cauliflower pizza crust, there's cauliflower rice. So instead of doing regular rice, you can do cauliflower rice.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I tried that. It was pretty
And
good.
also you can mix it as well. You can kind of like I know one of my classmates, she's a chef, and they would kind of trick the kids and the husband by kind of doing half and half. Like half actual mashed potato, like you can do it for mashed potatoes too. It's called cauliflower mash.
Mhm.
So you would just take cauliflower, put it in the food processor, add what you would normally add to your mashed potatoes, or like you said, you could do cauliflower rice, or you can do what they call zoodles now. So instead of using regular pasta, you can use squash and zucchini to make noodles. There's a lot of vegetable based pastas out there right now.
Okay.
And you want to avoid artificial sweeteners. I know they tell you to, eat them, but aspartame, all of those things, they turn to formaldehyde in the body, which is not good. And they can be toxic as well. So you kind of want to stay
Wait a
away
minute. Back. I didn't mean to shut you down. For what formaldehyde? What contains formaldehyde?
from artificial sweeteners. It turns into formaldehyde in the body, like the process of breaking it down.
Right.
You
Okay.
don't want that. And they can be toxic because they're processed by the liver and stored in fat cells, which can cause damage. So, sweet and low, all of those things are really not good for
Wait,
you.
what about Splenda?
Splenda either.
I am a fanatic when it comes to Splenda.
Yeah,
I,
all of those artificial sweeteners, which they're in a lot of things we don't even realize now. Like gum usually has artificial sweeteners in them. A lot of different like medicines and different things have artificial sweeteners in them. It's in a lot of different items and under different names. So you kind of have to know what you're looking for sometimes. But some no calorie or low calorie sweeteners that won't spike your blood sugar that are good for you are stevia. Have you heard of stevia?
yeah,
Okay, stevia.
I like stevia, but they don't have that in the restaurants.
That's to say, keep a little bit in your purse. They have little mini bottles that you can take with you. So sometimes for our health, we have to, that's why I carry on a backpack everywhere. You don't have to carry as much stuff. I'm just a pack rat. They call me bag lady. So you don't have to carry around as much stuff as I do. But carrying around a little stevia in your bag. And you can even go so far as because it comes from a leaf. Stevia is a leaf. So
Right,
you can have actually the fresh leaf and use that, or you can use the powder. So it should be green.
right.
If it's white, then that means it's more processed. And also monk fruit sugar, which is something newer that I've just used. It's like in the form of looks like regular sugar, but it's good for people who are diabetic or trying to stay away from things that are going to spike the blood sugar.
Now, what's the name of that?
Monk fruit.
Monk fruit.
Hmm.
Okay, never heard of, but I can look for it in the store and see what it is. Okay, so you said that the coconut. Did you say something about coconut that is good for you?
Yeah,
Diabetic?
coconut when we're talking about
And,
quality
and
fats.
you know that coconut I know that almonds are good, so we can have an almond joy.
Oh no, you
Put them two together, make an almond joy. I'm just
uh,
I'm just saying. Heather Wingate said I love cauliflower mashed potato. Oh, cauliflower mashed potatoes. I've never eaten it before, but I have eaten the rice before, the cauliflower rice. Yeah.
it's good, especially with, add a little butter and chives in there, or green onions. It tastes good. But no almond joys.
Everybody that know me know I love my sweets, and I try to stay away from it. And I'll check my blood sugar that morning, and I'll go out later on that evening, and I'll tell them in a minute, hey, my blood sugar was 97 or 100. That means I can eat a whole cake or whatever.
That's like me when I start feeling better, I'm like, oh, let me go eat something that's going to make me sick, which makes absolutely no sense. But in
Absolutely
my brain at the time.
right, right, right. Real life.
You wanted to talk about autoimmune conditions as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for people who don't know what autoimmune disease, lupus is like an autoimmune. So it's basically when your body attacks itself. So it misidentifies your own body's cells as a foreign invader and it launches an attack on them. And so the kind of autoimmune disease you have and symptoms you experience depend on what cells your body is attacking. So, for example, rheumatoid arthritis that attacks joint tissue. So people with rheumatoid arthritis often have, their hands are, swollen and inflamed, knees, feet, anywhere where there's joints. Hashimoto's is attacks thyroid cells. When you have lupus is pretty much the umbrella of everything. Lupus attacks joints, skin, blood cells, brain, kidney, lungs. For me personally, it has bothered my kidneys, which is lupus nephritis. Sometimes I have pericarditis, which is inflammation around the heart, pleurisy, which is inflammation around the lining of your lungs. Um, and sometimes people get, the characteristic is the butterfly rashes, so sometimes affecting the skin. Multiple sclerosis.
So you by you having lupus, you would have to your diet has to be real strict, right? Just
Yes.
like a diabetic diet should be real strict. But by you having lupus is stricter than a diabetic diet, right?
Yeah, it's pretty strict. Like my it's called a autoimmune diet
Mm,
that you can try. Well, okay, first, a lot of the times autoimmune conditions start with leaky gut or intestinal permeability. I don't know if you ever heard of that before, but it's kind of a contributing factor to autoimmune disease. So, your small intestine is supposed to break down the food, absorb the nutrients, and send it to your bloodstream. And when it's working properly, those fats and proteins are digested and go through. But when the tight junctions on your mucosal lining are inflamed, it allows undigested molecules to go through. So when that happens, your body's like, attack, 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 because it's not supposed to be in there. And so that creates that immune response. And it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. That's why you notice people with autoimmune conditions, if you pay attention to what you're eating, you usually end up with more and more and more food allergies. So you were talking about the different diets. So often as I with my clients, I'll do an elimination diet. So that's kind of cutting out all the foods that could potentially be triggers, like corn, dairy, eggs, gluten, sugar, all the things that we want to all the
right.
things that we want to eat, processed meats, and replacing them with fruits, healthy oils, lean meats, and seeing over a period of times, like you can do it for, depending on how severe your condition is, anywhere for a month to a couple months. And one diet is the autoimmune protocol that's even stricter than just a regular immune diet. It restores gut integrity. It boosts gut bacteria. It helps you identify food triggers. So the goal with that is to figure out which foods are bothering you in the reintroduction phase. So when you're cutting everything out, you're cutting out grains, you're cutting out beans, you're cutting out processed foods, eggs, nuts, seeds. It's a really strict, like you said, and then you gradually introduce some of those foods back into your diet to see which ones are causing you issues or not.
Mm. Is it okay? So people, how can I put this? So is it safe to have a diet or then regular just then to just eat whatever you want, or you have to have some type of deficiency like diabetes or lupus or autoimmune that has to be on a diet. So is it safe to be on a diet for regular people?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely safe to be. I mean, for people who, don't have any like serious conditions or anything, but just kind of want optimal health. Maybe you're just tired sometimes, or fatigue or different things. They'll do the elimination diet, which I said is a lot less strict than the autoimmune protocol diet, just to kind of see if they would feel better by eliminating certain foods. So even if you pretty much are a healthy person, you can still do an elimination diet and kind of see, like, do you feel even better when you don't eat dairy or when you don't eat gluten or when don't eat certain things. So definitely you don't have to have a serious condition to try these.
So if I just want to lose weight
Of
and
you to
and I just, I mean, I'm good. I'm not a diabetic. I don't have autoimmune deficiency. I don't have lupus. I don't have sickle cell. I don't have any of those diseases. I just want to lose weight. Is it okay for me to lose the weight and gonna die to lose weight or what?
I would say for losing, honestly, a lot of the times it might not be like a serious condition, but usually there's some underlying reason, why sometimes you are, gaining weight and not able to lose it. So, with each person I see, I still kind of like go down the list to make sure everything's functioning properly. Because a lot of times, like I said, it could be a very small reason, but sometimes there are reasons why you're not able to lose weight. But just maintaining an overall healthy diet is what can help just a person in general lose weight. Like, first of all, like we talked about, taking sugar out of the equation. Taking sugar out of the equation, and not doing anything else, sometimes just helps a lot, because like we said, sugar, the more sugar you eat, it turns into fat.
Right.
So
Right.
focusing on whole foods, so less on packaged food, whole grains, eating lots of fruits and vegetables, quality protein, staying away from a lot of, fried foods, a lot of processed foods, a lot of sugar. Those are just basically eating a whole foods and real good diet can help anybody with weight loss.
So what is a good source of iron that we can take?
Okay, let's see. So, a good source of iron. So meat, fish, and poultry are definitely good sources of iron. Veggies like spinach, dried foods and nuts, beans, lentils, and peas. So some of the top ones like oysters are high in iron, white beans, beef liver. So liver is definitely, I don't know, I don't like liver.
I love liver.
So the
But
liver,
when you talk about those oysters, do you have to eat them raw or can I have them fried?
no fried.
I can't see anybody doing that oyster and putting it down there. I cannot stand that. I'm gonna have to fry that one.
I was like, oh, you trying to fry everything, add it in sugar.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. So yeah, tofu, lentils, like we said, spinach, potato, dried apricots. Those are, good sources of iron. Um, and so for the RDA for iron for ages 19 to 50 for men is 8 milligrams a day, and it's 18 milligrams a day for women. And as you get older, that decreases. And
So
so, like,
I don't need that much iron.
you don't need as much iron anymore. As you get older, it drops down to
So you think I'm
8
older? I'm just
milligrams.
playing.
I didn't say anything.
Hey, what you
I didn't say anything.
Oh, someone say you can air fry them. What about air frying them?
Air fryer is good. That's fine.
Okay.
Using the air fryer is
Fish
definitely good.
fry
I
them?
have one.
Yeah. So you basically could air fry everything.
Yeah, you can pretty much air fry. I've tried. I was putting cornbread in the air fryer.
You can't do that.
Yeah, I made cornbread in the air fryer. I made cornbread muffins in the air fryer. You can pretty much make anything in the air fryer.
Okay. Oh, it must be one of those emeralds.
I forgot what brand mine is.
Okay. Because I think emerald you can do just about anything in there. I have two air fryers and I haven't used not one of them.
Try put cooking chicken in them is really good. They get really crispy,
Right.
and you don't have to put any batter, any flour or anything on it, and it gets crispy on its own. So air fryers are real good, and a healthy way to cook and an easy way to cook.
Right. Right. Wow. So how do you calculate your BMR or BMI? BMR, how do you calculate it?
So the BMR it stands for basal metabolic rate. So that's basically what your body needs to just survive, basically doing nothing. So you just breathing, nutrient processing, cell production. That's at the base. And so even what the total amount you're looking for is the estimated energy requirement. So that's when you're adding in, your age, your gender, your weight, your height, and your level of physical activity.
Mhm.
So that's how you figure out, the total calories that you need. So it's the basal metabolic rate and, the other factors when you add in physical activity. So, for example, a female age 19 to 30, if they're sedentary, meaning you pretty much don't do any exercise, that's 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day. If you're moderately active, 2,000 to 2,200 a day, and 2,400 if you're active. So it just, depends on your level of activity. Now, yes, about BMI. BMI is the body mass index. So that's a measure of body fat.
Right.
and that's just done by height and weight. So it goes in different levels. So if you have a BMI of, and all of these things, you can calculate them, but there's so many calculators online. Like,
Right.
all you have to do is literally type in BMR or energy or EER to type in to figure out your calorie, how many calories you need a day, and you'll put in your age, your weight, all of those items, and it'll calculate it for you.
Right.
And BMI is the same thing. That one's based on height and age.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the same chart for men and women. So if your BMI is below 18.5, you're underweight. If it's between 18.5 and 24.9, it's a healthy weight. And if it's above 25 to 29.9, you're overweight, and 30 and above is obesity.
I don't think mine is 30 and above.
No,
So
yours is definitely not 30 and above.
I'm in the middle. So how much you hear so much about consuming water and how much you should consume water. I mean, you look on the internet, if you this age, this how much water you should drink a day. If you this age, how much you should drink a day. So how much water should a person consume in a day?
So for my clients, I like to do like half your body weight in ounces. So like if you weigh 125 pounds, then 60 ounces. Huh?
That ain't happening. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I used to be there. I'm not there anymore.
Me too. I'm trying to get back there.
Me too. I keep looking at my pictures and I'm like, I was really small.
I'm trying to get back there. So go ahead. If you're 125 pounds, you have to
Yeah,
do.
so half your body weight in
Okay.
ounces.
Okay.
And the Food and Nutrition Board, theirs is a little bit different. They say 125 ounces for men and 91 ounces for women. So that's a lot of water. So I would say at minimum try to do half your body weight in ounces. And sometimes it's hard for people to drink the necessary amount of water. What I find helpful is are these bottles right here. This is what I drink out daily, and it has times on it.
Mhm.
And this is 32 ounces. So it helps you kind of get through the day, and you can kind of see your progress. And some of them have filters inside where that you can add different fruits and vegetables, which add a little flavor to the water, so it's not as bland. So you can put berries, strawberries. I usually do lemon and lime because that's good for digestion. You can
Right.
do ginger. There's a lot of different combinations to kind of like spice up the water to not make it so boring.
Right. So where did you find that would have the time on it?
Amazon. I get everything
Oh,
from.
yeah.
I need stock in Amazon.
So explain the difference between saturated, unsaturated, and monosaturated. I
Okay.
mean, you see it everywhere.
So a little scientific. So saturated fats have no double bonds. And
Mhm.
so those are the ones that are solid at room temperature. So animal products like butter, cheese, and meats, and plant sources like coconut and palm oil are rich in saturated fats. So healthy saturated fats are like coconut oil, palm oil, butter, ghee, which is clarified butter.
Mhm.
And when you're buying saturated fats, you want to buy organic and unrefined forms. And if it's, like butter, you want to do pasture raised and grass fed or organic. So now with unsaturated fats, it has one or more double bonds and it's liquid at room temperature. And so a lot of the mistakes people make when buying unsaturated fats, they're easily damaged by heat and light, and they can become rancid and bad very quickly. So
Right.
if everybody you notice that the more expensive oils are in a dark bottle.
Mm-hmm.
That's to protect it from the light
Okay.
so it won't go rancid. So a lot of the oils that you see that are just in regular clear bottles, besides coconut oil,
Right.
um, and palm oil, are already in that state. They're already, oxidized, rancid, not really good for you. So you kind of, when you're going out to buy them, you want to buy the ones that are in dark bottles and that are not processed. So you want to buy like organic. You see them say extra virgin or cold press forms, because like we're saying, heat is a contributing factor to it going bad. So you want them to use cold press methods in order to get it, and make sure it's virgin, and try to buy organic if you can.
Right, right. So
And
go
no, go
ahead.
ahead.
I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
I say just some examples of that are avocado oil, flaxseed oil, olive oil, sesame oil, and nuts and seeds.
Right. I was getting ready to start a what you call that, a smoothie, green smoothie every morning, and to see if I can detox my body and to get it back in shape and everything. And also, I'm sure that would I did it once before, and it helped me to lose weight. So I'm just waiting for my book to come in, with all the smoothies in the green smoothies in it. So is that good for a diabetic or what?
Yeah, those are good, especially if you're doing vegetable based. It only becomes an issue when you're just pumping a lot of fruits, in them, because even though it's natural sugar, it can still spike your blood sugar.
Right,
So yeah, so definitely, keeping it at veggies is a good. You just want to make sure, your blood sugar is not going too low, since you are diabetic. So just watching out for that. But like green juices are good. They're definitely good for a detox. Sometimes you have to be careful and when you're detoxing, because depending on how many issues you have, because everything can come out at once. Like for me, having lupus, having taken a lot of pharmaceutical medications, like I have to be really careful doing detoxes, because if my body decides to detox everything at one time, it would be a mess.
right,
Because there's so much, going on. I know my professor, she did that for a girl that had lupus, and she got really, really sick.
right.
So you have to be really careful when doing those types of things. So if you're trying to do like serious detoxes, it's best to try to work with someone who knows, what they're doing.
Well, the clock on the wall is saying it's almost time for us to get off. And I definitely appreciate you coming on tonight. And this has been it's well overdue because we were supposed to do this a long time ago. This is the right time. So whenever you did it, it's the right time. And you talked so much about nutrition and what we should take and what we should eat, and how many calories we should eat. And I appreciate it because, of course, like I said, when I talk to my nutrition, of course, I'm listening, but I'm just not doing it. You, and that's what we do. I mean, I'm human. We just don't do. But when my blood sugar spikes real high, then I'm ready to talk to the nutritionist.
Yeah, that's how, and don't feel bad, because I'm the same way. I know I'm not supposed to eat sugar either. And
Right,
when I feel bad, it's like, oh, I'm never touching sugar again. And then once you're happy, it's like, oh, there's ice cream.
right. And I love, and anybody who people who are here who know me well, they know I love the Splenda. And yeah, I do have stevia in my cabinet when I used to do my green smoothies, and that's what I had to use. But I will start back using stevia, because you said that's better for me than the
Yes, definitely. Then
Splenda.
then aspartame and all those artificial sweeteners, they are definitely, not good for you. I think even the creation of them was a mix up in the lab. They were trying to do something else, and then they found out that this worked as a sweetener, and it definitely does, damage to your body.
Right, right, right. I'm gonna start doing better. That's my goal, is to start doing better with my eating habits. You know, and I'm gonna tell my friends on here, y'all gonna see me doing better. Y'all gonna wonder who's that lady right there eating right. But I appreciate you, Garland, and for coming on tonight. And I want to thank my guests, Beverly, Beulah, Alice, Kathy, Yolanda, and some more friends, Ruth, and everybody that's on here that did not come on this spot, but I can see them on the phone just watching. And thank you guys also, because you guys are the one that make the show. And so I apologize for not coming on every Tuesday like I've been coming on, but there's some things I had to do, but I'm gonna get back on pace. In October, you're gonna see me here all the time. But what I'm trying to do right now to end my September segments is this is sickle cell month. So I'm trying to find some people, some guests who has sickle cell. So if you out there know anyone who has sickle cell, tell them to inbox me so that we can get together to do a show before September is out. I do know two or three people who have it, and I've been trying to get into contact with them. But if you know somebody who has it, tell them to contact me, and we can do a segment on sickle cell because a lot of people don't know. A lot just like lupus. When you guys came on for lupus, I didn't know all that. I didn't know all the information that you guys gave me. But and the same thing with sickle cell. I don't know everything about sickle cell because I don't have it. I got diabetes, you know. So and I could tell you about diabetes and what we not supposed to do, what we're supposed to do, and what I don't do and what I'm supposed to do. So, but I want sickle cell to be the main topic before the end of the September month, because after that we're gonna go into a diabetic month, and then whatever one heart month, whatever cancer month. So we need to talk about this because a lot of people do not know. But thank you guys for coming on tonight and helping us to be a great show. We'll be back on the air possibly next week. If not, if I hadn't fallen asleep with sickle cell, then the week after. So just keep me in prayer as Blue Table Talk go out. And like I said, tonight we're talking about nutrition. And this our last statement that I put up here. She says, "Great topic. I lost my great nephew at the age of 8 to sickle cell." Yes. So if you know anybody, Kathy, that has sickle cell, or even their parents want to talk about it, no, tell them to inbox me, and we're gonna talk about that. Colin, thank you so much, sweetheart. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I was so excited when I said, "Oh, I gotta get Garland on the show. I have to get Garland." And you know what? We came across each other the same time. I was thinking her name, and she called me. So until we meet again, Garland, you stay on while I tell my listeners good night. Um, and guys, don't forget, if you are not vaccinated, please get vaccinated with the COVID vaccine. Now the flu vaccine is out, so you can get the flu vaccine, wait a week or so, and get COVID vaccine. Vice versa, get COVID, wait a week or so, and get the flu. But you cannot, if you can't get the booster unless you have an autoimmune disease deficiency. So I appreciate you coming on. Like I said, if I can help somebody as I pass along this way, then I know that my living is not in vain. God bless you. God keep you as my prayer. Good night, guys, and we'll see you hopefully, prayerfully next week. Be safe.